Yo, I am Atticus, and in my last video I brought you the Shaky Sand Bamboo Farm set to turbo. Now, my goal after that video was to make a more optimized version while still maintaining a good drop rate while having good ease to build. Now, after watching Eagle Eye 621's video on faster than zero tick bamboo, he was able to make a flat surface for his zero tick while maintaining a water stream and pushing over bamboo into it all at once. I'll put a link down in the description to the video as well as show you later on exactly what he did in his build because I copied it in mine. But the only thing I added was a unique harvesting system. Now, I was playing around with certain game tick clocks and I found that the 3 game tick clock was able to produce 10,600 bamboo per hour. But I ran into a problem. Whenever you were trying to harvest this, it would never push it over. It would just fall. So what do we do? How do we go ahead and get these? I had an idea. I can go ahead and orientate the piston downwards and see what that will do. But unfortunately, all it did was have all the items glitch up into the piston themselves. Some of them would get spit out, but most of them would stay up in there, especially if you were to tile this design out. So my thought was to keep this piston still here and pulse it every so often, thereby spitting out the drops that would get stuck in. And this is the design right here. Let's go ahead and kick her on. Now, this is the flat zero ticking design by Eagle Eye 621 that I was talking about. We're able to put the water stream in front of our bamboo while the pistons are shoving everything over into it, and we're able to collect everything and still maintaining a 10,600 per bamboo per hour drop rate. So this whole entire farm will produce 190,800 bamboo per hour. It consists of 2 modules of 9 crops linked together, and you can keep going with this as far out as you want. The only difference is you will have to build multiple 3 game tick clocks because there is no way to extend the signal without degrading it. Now let's go into particulars of what's going on. First, let's go ahead and get a good surround sound screenshot of what's going on. Alright. And the back. And let's go through what's happening. Now, when this switch is depowered, 4 things will happen. Our observer clock will kick into power. That will give power to this block right here and these rails underneath. These observers will be reading that, giving power into these dueling pistons. From these observers also, these observers will give into power of these blocks, also to these dueling pistons. So that would be our shaky sand generator. At the same time that this is depowered, ignoring this torch tower for a second, we were sending a pulse into this observer, which is Eagle Eye's design. We're able to zero tick over the sand and still maintain a good flat surface. While I'm on the subject of zero ticking, I cannot stress enough how important that your zero tick pistons must be aligned east to west. If they are not, you will have to rotate your whole build. At the same time, when this is toggled back on, it will power this line, giving power to this row of pistons so the sand will not fall. And it will send a pulse through this zero tick line with a repeater on 1 tick delay before that. Same design that we have mirrored on the other side so it can make our sand off safe. Now back to this torch tower over here. This will be doing 2 things. It will be running this comparator clock right here, which consists of a comparator set to subtraction mode with 12 repeaters set on full delay and 1 repeater set on 2 ticks going into a monostable circuit that is a sticky piston. And coming out of that is 1 repeater set on 1 tick going into a sticky piston and a redstone block, which will giving power to these rails and observer, which is going to give power to our harvester pushing over our crops. And this will happen every 10 seconds. Now, also this torch tower will be pulsing this sticky piston right here, which will start this 3-game tick clock. Now, I have to take a second to talk about this 3-game tick clock. Sometimes the position can be a little bit finicky. Now, I have to say, if you go ahead and power everything, and your pistons do not fire, they are not firing for any reason whatsoever. If you start your clock, then there are a few things you can do in order to make that work. I found that if you add a block right here and add redstone torch, that should solve your problem. Also, if you're still not getting power to your pistons, grab a slab, slide it over here, throw some more redstone dust on top. I know it looks like it shouldn't be right, but this actual build is kind of location specific. So you might have to tinker around with it, but I assure you it works. And you want it this close so you're able to get out your 9 row of pistons so you can have your 9 crops for your modules. And this is just a representation of where your observer will go to continue on your next module. Now, building this 3-game tick clock is pretty specific. It has to be a sticky piston in one direction and a regular piston in the other direction. When the redstone block is placed, it will power this piston, shifting over this redstone block instantly, and the same will happen over here, back and forth, giving us our clock. And that is our harvesting system. And the last thing I want to talk about is the water placement. Now, if you want to get everything lined up correctly, you want to make sure your water is placed in the correct spots. Now, that's why I have them up here, and I can show you while the farm is active. It's a lot easier to place in the water. Now you want to do is go ahead and place it on all the sand, not that glass block. You can place it on this glass block, it's okay, but not this one on the edge. We go out one further because you can see that the bamboo actually flies out sometimes. So that's why we kind of step up and put our water right here. That way everything evens out, as well as in the middle and on the side. Now I do want to mention, whenever you start and stop this farm, you will incur a certain amount of loss. But after the farm is running, you will see very little loss whatsoever. I have barely gotten a stack in an hour from this setup, which I think is very negligible to your 190,000. But I hope everyone enjoyed. I still want to give a big shout out to this design for Eagle Eye 621. If you haven't seen his videos, please check them out. We'll leave a link in the description. And I will be back with more farms. I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next one.